Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Hashtag Summer Music Motivation. As you know, each week we've been posting a new interview to our socials and our YouTube, and this is going to be the last one for this month of July, but stay tuned in August for our next series. So this week's guest is the incredible Jordyn Davis, who is an award-winning bassist, composer, songwriter, vocalist, and multi-instrumentalist. She's also the founder and leader of Compose the Way, which is a genre-bending chamber ensemble. So welcome, Jordyn. Thank you so much for doing this today. Tell us a little bit about you and what you do every day. All about Jordyn. Tell us.
Well, I think if you're going to ask me about me, I think it's quite appropriate that my cat has showed up here. This is Yelly. And she's going to join us for the interview because she loves attention.
Love that.
So yeah, a little bit about me. I am a bassist, composer, singer-songwriter. I have a publishing company. I'm an educator, and I do a lot of speaking or like panels and that sort of thing. So every day for me looks absolutely different. Mm-hmm. I do have like certain things that I do every single day. Like I have a routine for when I get up in the mornings, and then like around how I like to make music throughout the day. It looks different every single day. I can't say that I can't say that I check the shed to item off of my to-do list by doing the same thing every single day. Like it looks very different day to day, especially living in New York City. Things are crazy here, and it's nice that in this kind of summer, this summer lull, there's opportunities to play and work. So, I'm constantly doing very random gigs as a bass player because everybody needs a bass player. So, I've had the opportunity to do some Broadway work and some collaborative composing and some producing of shows. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like I make music as a way to primarily find and seek joy and peace in my life. So if I'm not making music, that is like when I'm the least happiest and the least at peace within myself. So it's pretty mandatory for my individual existence. But, I found a way to kind of tie all of my life experiences and my individual values as a human being and a creative into kind of this entity that is Compose the Way. And it is kind of like a tool that I use to make music that makes me feel good, use my voice to communicate with folks who I wouldn't have access to otherwise, like outside of my own like local community. And, just encourage people to live life for themselves and to think outside of the box and not, to really like question reality. Like, why are things the way that they are? And why does it look like this? Or why can't I do this? Or why do I think that I can't do this thing?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I love how you said that every day looks super different. And I think that's something so unique about being a musician too, is that you can always, continue to work on different projects, and there's so many exciting and creative things to do throughout the day. So how do you do it? How do you stay organized? How do you stay motivated to do all of this every single day and still find so much joy and passion in what you do?
Absolutely. How do I stay organized? I've done this thing, recently I've done, a bit of self-reflecting and kind of taking some time away, like just in the course of like the last few years with the pandemic, just taking a lot of time to focus on the self and focus on what it looks like for my career to be sustained for a long time, and what things can I put in place now that I'm still going to want to be practicing as an artist at 65, or at 75, because especially living here in New York, there's so many jazz elders. Like I've celebrated like 6 84th or 85th birthdays with some of my elders here in the city. And I'm just like, how are you still just like so killing and so inspired and so motivated to do this? And like your health is in a great place. So, I've done a lot of reflecting on how to take care of myself and whether or not what it looks like for me to take care of my needs, and addressing those things from a really wholehearted place, and really being honest with myself too, and really just kind of like focusing on how to take care of myself and how to feel good about myself so that when it comes time to make music, you know, I can draw from my experiences without beating myself up and without feeling like, oh, like I have this idea, but I'm such a crappy pianist and I can't chunk it out. Or I have this idea, but I'm not good enough at this thing. And I can't do it because I'm not good enough. And it's like taking some of that negative self-talk out of the music making practices, and really finding a way to be nice and loving to myself, you know, in my day-to-day activities, but also music making, because in academia, like, you know, the goal is like, you have to practice every single day and you have to do this thing every single day, and yourself doesn't matter. Like, can you play your scales? Can you play this piece from memory? Can you do this? You know, and your sense of self gets lost completely when you're a student. At least that was my experience, because I was also working, you know, to pay for music school out of my own pocket and lots and lots of other things. So, you know, my sense of self was kind of gone. And it was just like, okay, I'm really passionate about music and I want to learn as much as I possibly can and just practice and practice and practice and listen and ask questions and do all these things. But, you know, if my humanity is not protected, then I can't make music, and then I can't, you know, share my perspective, and I can't create. So, you know, what helps me stay motivated is taking care of myself, because also if I don't take care of myself, then I can't take care of, you know, the ones that I love, and I can't help, you know, spread some of these messages of empowerment and self-love. And, you know, I can't help change the world and help change the way that things work in my own community if myself is not taken care of.
Yeah.
So that's fully where my motivation comes from. It's like, you know, what do I want to do and how can I take care of myself along the way?
Yeah, that's so true. And I think it's so easy too to forget to do that, because I mean, we live in such a world that everything moves so quickly, and it can be really difficult to carve out time to spend on yourself, because after all, that is a super, super important thing. And, you know, that also feeds right back into our motivations. So how do you find that sense of self? And are there things that you do non-musically that help you kind of recharge your battery when you need to?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, especially after the last 6, 7 years being in school. Really, I was in school for 8 years throughout my undergrad and all the way through my master's, and I didn't take a break. So, you know, really coming out of that, I try to spend most of my day not doing musical things, actually, because like I've really put in the time and the work to be able to do some of these things. And before, it was kind of like, you know, really needing to kind of put in the time, really kind of needing to put in the time. And, you know, in my post-grad reflection, I'm like, you know, trying to stop beating up on myself and being like, oh, well, you didn't shed 48 hours in 24 hours. So like, you're not going to do well at your gig, or you're not going to sound as great, and your solo is going to be crap. And then you're going to feel like da, 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 da. Mm-hmm. And it's like really just stepping away from the bass. Like I said, I have like a dedicated amount of time that I spend making music every day. And sometimes it's at the bass. Sometimes it's just listening. Sometimes it's at the keyboard. Sometimes it's just singing. Sometimes it's writing. You know, it looks very, very different depending on what the priorities are for that week. Yeah. But it's so important to spend time outside of the shed and outside of the practice room, because your humanity, like, you have to experience life to be able to create. And if you don't give yourself the time to experience the joys and challenges of life, then what do you have to talk about? You know, why should people listen to the music that you're making if they can't even relate? Because, you know, they've been out in the world living, and you've been sitting in a room for 7 years, you know? So I think it's really important to equally nurture, you know, your humanity and your sense of self as it is your instrument, you know? Oh, and, yeah. You know, like, a lot of people think that you have to practice hours and hours and hours a day to get to a certain level, or to be this way. And there's a time and a place to practice a lot. But, you know, long-term as a professional, you don't have 8 hours in a day to sit and shed etudes or learn tunes. You know, on average, you got about 25 minutes. Yeah. So what are you going to do with that 25 minutes? And how is it going to really help you get through the gig that day, or, you know, really be able to do whatever you have to do musically that week? And really just kind of like focusing on what the priorities are day to day, as opposed to feeling like I have to have this really stringent practice schedule. And, personally for me, that does not work because I have so many different things going on and I'm so passionate about a lot of ththings. And I have this very active cat who loves attention. And, we have to spend a lot of time together and figuring out the different things. So I, as a way of kind of encouraging myself to keep making music and to not feel so bad about the time that I don't have, it's just like I said, finding whatever amount of time I have that day to do something musical.
Yeah.
And to do something that makes me feel good also, because it can't be, I'm going to the shed to practice this and it's work. Like it has to be something that also feels like fun and it also feels good in my body and is benefiting my humanity in that day too. So a lot of the times, even in practicing, like I won't, obviously like I'm a jazz musician and I went to jazz school and I've studied bebop and like all of those different things. I'm not practicing those things every single day. Mm-hmm. And, there are a lot of the times what I find myself doing, is practicing the music that I love, regardless of what genre it's in. Yeah. Practicing it on my instrument, singing it, transcribing it, finding a way to connect all of my worlds kind of in one type of creative practice, as opposed to feeling like, oh no, I didn't shed bebop at 300 BPM today, and I'm not going to be able to do it again tomorrow, and I can't play it, and it's just like, oh, like it's never going to get done, because also like maybe that day I don't feel like listening to the tune bebop, and maybe I don't feel like playing a bunch of chromatic things, maybe I want to do something a little bit more tonal, or maybe I want to do something, a bit modal, whatever my energy is telling me that day, like let's focus on and let's kind of nurture where you are in your mind and in your spirit through music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is just such a good answer, and also just so true. Like everything that you said really, really resonated with me too. And as we are running out of time, do you have any last like words of advice or anything else that you would tell like a young musician, maybe a middle schooler or someone that's just starting out in music that is a student?
Absolutely. I have a few words because I didn't have any words when I was first starting out. I didn't know any, like I don't come from a music family. I just had no type of community and no type of guidance, really. It felt like when I was trying to decide what it looked like to be a musician and have a career in music. The first thing I'm going to say is just keep going. Don't let anybody tell you that whatever musical thing that you want to do, you can't do, because you can. Be kind to yourself. Get to know yourself, love yourself regardless of what everybody else tells you and whatever type of creative or what type of artist people tell you should be. Just be who you are, like whatever music you like, and trust your sense of self when it comes to, performing and like learning different kinds of music and learning to grow as a musician. Like whatever music you are drawn to is good music. And you can't let anybody tell you that, oh, that's bad, so you must be bad and you're not a good musician and da 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 da. Like, don't listen to anybody else. Talk only, and also like make music with people that make you feel good and that make you feel seen as a human being, because there's always this kind of like perception when you're young that you need to be playing with the most killing musician and you need to be playing and at that level and you need to be around those people. Well, sometimes those people aren't necessarily going to be the people that your humanity needs to be around. So like be honest about who you are, and also be honest with yourself about how people are treating you. Right. Because if they're not treating you well, or you don't feel good about the interactions that you're having, or you feel threatened, or you feel fearful, or you feel out of like you don't belong in some place, then you probably, if your body is telling you like this doesn't feel good, then you probably shouldn't be in that space. And that there are spaces and places for you to be, where musicians are going to love and nurture you just for who you are. So don't think that, you have to go to whatever school and study with whatever person, mm-hmm. Focus on your own individual needs and what it is that you want and what it is that you want to accomplish musically. And that doesn't have to be, playing at the Blue Note or at Lincoln Center. Sometimes that can just be playing for yourself. And at the end of the day, like if you're not playing for yourself and you're not making music for yourself, this industry, the way that this industry works long term, it's like you won't last very long. Mm-hmm. So never give up the joy and the reason why you enjoy making music and why you were kind of drawn to being a musician and just keep going no matter what. I can't tell you how many times somebody told me, oh, you can't be a composer, you can't be a bass player, you can't do that. Da, 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 da. My degrees say otherwise, my accomplishments say otherwise. And, you know, it's not about the accolades. It's really just about putting the energy forward and saying, you know, this is who I am. And I'm trying to spread love in this way. So if you can't accept that, then you can't accept me and we don't need to be working together.
Yep.
So, yes.
That is such
but also just keep making music. Just keep doing it. In any way, shape, or form, just keep doing it.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh, how perfect is that? So we are just about out of time. Thank you so much, Jordyn. You are so amazing. And just a couple little speed round questions to end our interview. Completely non-music related, but just fun.
I'm ready.
So,
I'm ready.
Indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors.
Outdoors. If you could take a vacation anywhere in the world for free, where would you go?
Right now, Bali.
Ooh, that sounds wonderful. If you played a different instrument, what instrument would you play?
The harp.
The harp. I love that. Okay, swimming, hiking, or biking?
Swimming.
Love that. And the last, what is your coffee order?
Ooh, what is my coffee order? I'm gonna say a black Americano.
Oh, love it. I just had that the other day. It was delicious. Okay, everyone, that is all we have time for today. Thank you so much, Jordyn. If you want to connect with Jordyn or learn more about them, head over to their website, composetheway.com, or follow them on Instagram. Jordyn is super cool and just totally awesome. I love the vibe, and thank you so much for doing this, and we'll see you next time, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Olivia.